Hey everybody, it's Pete. No idea why I did that with two hands. I guess it's still early. Oh man. Welcome to a new episode of today's Best Stock Picks. It is Tuesday morning, October 13th, 2020, and we have a lot to talk about today. There's going to be a lot of stocks in play today. The futures are basically flat, down just a little bit. Obviously, Apple today with the possible announcement of the new 5G iPhone, I should say the introduction of the new 5G iPhone. We have Workhorse looking at the potential deal that we discussed yesterday with the United States Postal Service. We have earnings from JP Morgan and Citigroup. We have the solar stocks getting some bad news yesterday, which kind of explains after the fact why they've been selling off so hard lately. And we also have a few stocks making new all-time highs, and net yesterday exploded to the upside, and we're looking for some follow-through. So we got a lot to talk about today. If you find these videos helpful, definitely click down and subscribe. That would mean the world to me. And if you want to trade live with me and get my actual stock picks while the market's unfolding, including entries, exits, and how we manage the positions, click down and learn about the boot camp. It's a small investment of $295 for 30 days of everything, including my order flow masterclass, where we cover this in a lot more detail. So let's head right over to the charts. Let's get into it, and let's discuss what's going on today. So the futures markets, obviously, here's yesterday's close. We had a really strong day yesterday, which was, I'm not going to say surprising, but if we look at the daily chart of the SPY, the consecutive bullish gaps over here are a little bit, I'm not going to say confusing, as going up is not confusing. Gapping and continuing to go up and closing near the highs, not a lot of people have an easy time wrapping their head around the size of the move and the fact that we can get back to all-time highs with one new fast push. But it doesn't matter. Like we were explaining in the boot camp yesterday, it doesn't matter. The only thing that, like, everybody looks for reasons after the fact. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? It doesn't matter. Read the charts and trade the price, because if you're in a trade that's losing money, for argument's sake, and you're searching for a reason, who cares? Manage the price action. Worry about the reason later. Dig into the reason later. If you're investing, maybe you might want to do that and see if you want to hold it for a little bit longer term. But as far as the time frame that we're trading in, the next week, the next 2 weeks, the next month, we're just trading the pure price action. We're trading order flow. We're reading the tape and we're managing positions. So the SPY gaps are beautiful for the bulls. We actually got follow through. The only downside that we were talking about quite a bit yesterday is the market internals were not confirming the move to the upside. So in other words, there weren't as many stocks upticking with volume as you would expect to be getting this kind of push in the indices. However, we were trading long. The morning, again, was a pretty good morning to trade. The afternoon slowed down a little bit in the afternoon. The afternoons were mostly yesterday about lessons and reading the tape and that kind of stuff. But it is what it is. We're trading what we see. We're trading what's in front of us. We could worry about the reasons why when we have a barbecue on the weekend. So getting into today, obviously, we're going to talk about Apple. Apple finally broke out yesterday. You can see this box that has been trading in for a while and now got above 120. 120 was the level that we were looking for it to break, punched above that level, opening higher again today. Must be on your list for today to watch. It's going to be active. Whether it's going to be readable or not is a different story. If you're looking for structure to your price action, watch the Stocks Breakfast video I did today about how to trade stress-free. It will give you exact criteria for understanding the order flow and watching Apple today, specifically with the news. Citigroup has earnings today. Now, we've been talking about it. We actually mentioned it last week that the financial stocks have been perking up. So you can see that Citi actually had a gap, a pause, and a bullish day. Might be turning around. There's a very good chance right now that just reading the pure price action that we're starting to see a little bit of life come back into the financials. JP Morgan is another one with earnings today, which had a little bit better bounce. The problem with JP Morgan and Citi and Goldman Sachs, which we'll take a look at in a second, is they're both approaching a level that it hasn't been able to get through. So it'll be really interesting to see if earnings can punch it through. So what I'm looking for in JP Morgan is I want to see it well bid above 104. If it goes well bid above 104, then we're looking at a potential route move to 114 to 120. Goldman Sachs had a really nice day yesterday. We can also see that it's now up to a level that it's been having a hard time with. We actually mentioned yesterday, if you were in the boot camp, as it kept going higher and higher yesterday, because it was coming into this level that it couldn't normally get through, I said scaling out, getting out, and you can see it's actually opening up or set to open up $1 lower right now. So it's going to be interesting to watch these. If they push like they did, pause around these resistance levels, and then go with well bid through those levels. Net is another one that just exploded yesterday. We actually mentioned this in yesterday morning's call, so hopefully you got a part of this. It was a reasonable gap followed by an unreasonably bullish day for the first 2 or 3 hours. We actually discussed in our coaching call last night, which we have every Monday night, that this stock reached its profit target, what it normally does during the day, in the first 15 minutes of the day. And then we discussed how to manage the position after that, what we were supposed to do. There was actually 2 other entries immediately after that opening window that led to some pretty good explosions in bullish price action. Nobody can predict that a stock would move that much and move 4 times what it normally does. However, we're going to be watching it again today. Have very strict parameters that we follow in the boot camp. It has to have certain price points that help us read the tape to determine if we want to be long. Yesterday, we actually talked about AMD and TSM, and we said it had to meet certain criteria as well. And TSM turned out to be the better trade, where AMD just kind of sat there and did nothing. Workhorse, obviously, one that we mentioned yesterday morning. I gave a warning that if you're going to trade news, it was taken a little bit out of context because I compared it to another stock. What I was basically saying yesterday is if you are trading something and you're building a position in something that everybody in the world knows the news, just make sure you're trading with stop losses. That was really the point. And you can see yesterday the stock opened higher, punched higher, traded near the lows, and it's actually opening slightly lower today. Doesn't mean it's selling off. It does mean that you need to manage your expectations, and that means also managing the position to build the position as it moves in your favor, as opposed to where I see many traders make the mistake of just sizing up because they read a story on Yahoo Finance and believe, here it goes, it's going. Are they likely to get the contract? Likely, yes. Is it set? No. So just keep that in mind, okay? Be a pro, act like a pro, and build a position into the news. And then if the news confirms it, you can build more because it should have legs and continue to go. If you built a position quietly and it doesn't turn out, you're not going to get hurt because you had the right share size for this particular story. Run, obviously, as we just discussed, very strong potential change of trend here. We're getting much heavier volume to the downside. A story came out yesterday about the solar industry and tax breaks and that kind of stuff, which was not a good story for them. So now we're seeing the reasons after the fact. Like we said, trade what you see, and then you can worry about the reasons while you're having coffee after the market closes. So a change of trend here, potential change of trend, which is actually now well offered on the weekly chart. And Z is actually showing similar signs. But now Z is closed below the open 5 days in a row. Yesterday closed on the low. Let's get clear. I still want to be long the stock, but I need to see the minimum criteria. I want to see the stock either have a bullish U-turn today where it opens lower, punches lower, reverses, or a little bit more conservative. I'm looking for a well-bid daily candlestick. So I like both of them. Twillo broke through nice levels yesterday, nice bullish gap. Up higher again today. I'd probably be trailing this up because of the nature of the bullish gaps. I'm not looking to get out, but I am looking to keep an eye on if this opening gap reverses. Amazon finally giving us some signs of life, where yesterday we said wanted to see a well bid. This is actually what we're looking to see, where we said we want to see a well bid outside of a certain price action. That's actually what we're looking to see in the financials right now. Got a nice punch through, and now we are sniffing highs again there. Amazon looking good for follow through. JD launched the first new move, pushing through at or near new levels. Again, we're looking for this stock to be above yesterday's close, above yesterday's high, above today's open, and that would trigger a new long above yesterday's high. Twitter, my gosh, where did this stock all of a sudden find the strength from? It couldn't get through 39 for the longest time, and now it's punching through, and you can see that it's actually through levels it hasn't gotten through ever. And now it's up near those levels again. I like Twitter long. I'm not going to jump in today, though, because Twitter normally gaps and then kind of does this. So I'm going to actually wait for Twitter to pause for 1 or 2 days here, catch its breath, and then take off again. Last but not least, 2 more stocks. NVIDIA. NVIDIA punched through again yesterday, finally took out the 560 level. We're looking for this to make a run at all-time highs. You can see it's actually up higher again today. If you're not long, we're having a lot of questions about how to trade these gaps. Look, bottom line is if you want to trade a stock that gaps and has a big gap, you need to have certain criteria that's going to tell you, okay, now it's okay for me to manage my risk to get into these positions. Because you have to realize some of these gaps, if not most of them, will pull back and fill that gap. So if you're going to buy a stock like this right now, it's up $7 pre-market, 1.3%, not a lot, but if it punches up higher like that, you have to accept the downside. So you need to be able to read the tape to say, okay, it's okay for me to get in there with my first piece of my position. If it doesn't work out, I know what I'm going to do. If it does, then you also know what you're going to do. So these gaps come with amazing profit potential if they work in your favor. But if they gap and don't hold, you need to plan before you're going to do it what you need to do. And we noticed a little bit of buying yesterday in Chewy. Again, looking at a stock that broke out of consolidation, went well bid. This actually, these 4 days contain our super secret entry signal, and it just plowed into a really, really nice multi-day move. Now the question is it still a long? Well, we're looking at 70 as the target, but now it's at 65, 64 and a half. It's already halfway to the target. So the trade has lowered the risk reward ratio, which turns you into a break-even trader if you're taking this trade now. The only reason to take this trade now, looking for a swing trade up to 70, is if you believe it's going to go through 70 and punch through to new all-time highs. So my gosh, there's a lot to pay attention to today. Earnings, Apple, Workhorse, net follow through yesterday. So we're actually going to have a pretty good morning. Let's see if we get some follow through in the afternoon. Make sure you keep an eye on those market internals, because they're really going to tell you how to size up and how long to hold those positions. Good example is what we saw in Goldman Sachs yesterday. So have a great day, everybody. If you have any questions, leave me some feedback, and definitely subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. Have a great day.